Because recently, Kendrick Lamar, he was the first rapper to win a Pulitzer Prize for music.
Yeah, that was big.
That's never happened before in the rap world.
Yeah.
And if you look at TDE, if you look at the head of TDE, Top, who was affiliated with the Bloods and everything else like that, and there's a lot of gangsters in the mix over there. Schoolboy Q's, I think, Hoover Crip.
I heard some Fifi from some LA gang.
Yeah, he's a Crip, and there is a gang influence over there, but you never saw the type of kind of nonsense at TDE that you saw at Death Row. You know what I'm saying? You never saw people getting beat up. You never hear people getting beat up, being forced to drink urine. No one complains about their record deals. No one complains about getting ripped off.
Right.
There's no. You don't hear people getting arrested. I mean, think about it. Suge had a murder trial right when he got hot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. On the
the amount of violence and just craziness that happened at Death Row, you just don't see it at TDE at all.
You don't.
All. And I've been around these guys. I know Top. I've hung out with Kendrick. We've had conversations. I've known J-Rock, for a while.
Right.
Like, they just don't run that type of business over there.
Right. Shout out to TDE. They doing their thing. You know what I mean? They making consistent, great music and putting their artists in positions to be superstars. That's big. That's big. That should be the aim of any label to make sure that goes the A&R thing. I guess he wearing all those hats over there. It's like, they got their ship tight. Nobody's doing extra to try to be magnified in the spotlight. So, I applaud them and salute them. That Pulitzer Prize was big too, because I read a comment in the newspaper. They were saying, well, he won a Pulitzer Prize, but can they print the lyrics out to the song, to what they giving the Pulitzer Prize for, and let everybody determine whether it was, well earned or not, So it's like, but if they decide to nominate, that's damn near like a Nobel Peace Prize. You know what I'm saying? When they decide to nominate you, I guess you're being nominated from amongst a group of your peers and those who've been in that industry.
Yeah, well, I mean, Damn was a great album.
Right.
Damn was, I would put it up there with like Good Kid, Mad City. Mm-hmm. I think that was his best or possibly second best album. Mm-hmm. And I think that the TDEs of the world kind of looked at Death Row and said, here was an organization that had so much talent and had so much potential, and because of egos and so forth, is just no longer around anymore.
Right.
There's no reason Death Row should not be up there with Interscope and Atlantic and all these other major entities. They may not even need a distributor at some point.
Facts.
Think about it. Like, if things had gone differently, imagine Death Row right now with Dre, Tupac, Snoop, and then, you could say Eminem, 50 Cent, Kendrick Lamar, all of that being under the Death Row, Beats by Dre, all that being under the Death Row umbrella. Mm-hmm. And Suge still being out and, being a more calmer, more mature Suge,
right,
in an alternate universe here.
You would have thought all those times back and forth would have kind of like calmed them down.
Yeah, no, that didn't work. And imagine the powerhouse at Death Row, and you were there firsthand. Imagine the powerhouse that it could be today. It would be the biggest thing ever.
Oh, yeah.
Today.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
it wouldn't have been nothing to rival it.
Good music, OVO, whoever else, you know, couldn't have even touched what Death Row could have been. And now it's It got sold. They had like a garage sale at one point when they selling Suge's underwear.
Oh
Like, it
my
was like
gosh.
they
Yeah,
sold the electric chair and the rugs and everything.
fire sale.
It was a
Right?
fire sale.
That's bad, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, that legacy is. Yeah, legacy. Well, I mean, it was good for music, not only for the West Coast. It was good for music because a lot of true street soldiers was able to parlay that experience into not only careers but understanding how to maneuver in business.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because if you wasn't caught up in the hype, you was pretty much learning what you would be good at in the business where you could employ your skills at and make something of yourself. Everybody's not meant to be a good artist. Everybody can't produce, you know, everybody can't manage. So it's like, what do? You could be a good road manager, you know what I mean? You could, you know, so many different hats people figured out that they could wear in that, apart from the people who was getting killed, you know, inside the organization when it was crumbling. You know, like 3 or 4 people wound up getting killed. Like a couple of them got killed at the gas station, and you know.
At Death Row?
Yeah.
Well, who got killed at Death Row? I mean, obviously Tupac.
Well, Jake Robles got killed.
Jake Robles?
Yeah.
Who was that?
The one that got killed at the party in Atlanta.
Oh, Suge's friend.
Yeah.
Aha.
Yeah.
Were you around during that
Jake
time?
was a good dude, yeah. Jake was a good dude.
So was that like Suge's like best friend or?
He was a good friend of him. He was a very good friend. You see them together often, and I think Suge trusted him a lot.
Okay.
And one of their workers, Heron, got killed. They sent him to look for some dope in the trash can or something, is what they said, and hit him in the back of his head like 17 times. And Bunch Real and them got shot up at the gas station.
Who?
Bunch Real was like his head of security.
Okay.
Yeah. You know, they put the B in front of they stuff.
Oh, yeah.
He was Country Al probably when he was younger, but they started putting the B on everything, so they called him Buntry Al. Him and somebody else got shot up at a gas station not too long afterwards. About like 4 or 5 people wound up getting killed from.
Well, the Jake Robles incident, because have you been watching the Unsolved?
I was on the fringes, and intertwined with it. So I'm not really big on watching the story of somebody getting secondhand information and reporting it.
Pretty well done, I gotta say. As someone who has talked to probably interviewed more people around the death row story,
you have
than probably anybody.
Yeah, you have.
Than literally probably anyone in this world. Like what I mean?
Right.
From the outlaws,
it's close to being on point. It's real close on point.
Man,
who were they consultants? Who were they?
It was a bunch of people. It was a bunch of consultants. It was a bunch. It was they. I mean, the way they even would play out the scenes. Like, I remember there was a scene with Keefe Deee where they approached Keefe Deee, about the drug dealing thing and try to get him to cooperate. When I interviewed Greg Kading, and I asked him about how they approached Keefe Deee, and he was like, "You met up with Keefe Deee, okay? Where was Keefe Deee at the time? He was in prison?"
No, Keefe Deee was living down here in Southern California, out in Riverside County. When we initially met up with him, we just went to his house and met him on his own property, informed him of some of the charges that we'd built up against him during a long drug investigation. And
what were the charges?
Distribution of PCP, distribution of large amounts of cocaine, and wiretap investigations, which are these electronic crimes.
Sure enough, in Unsolved, they go to his house, they're in his garage, and it's like, wow, the level of detail that they're putting this thing together, like, you didn't need to show the guy's garage.
True.
In this particular scene. You could have just had him anywhere,
Right.
Shoot this wherever we're shooting this other shit, save some money. No, They actually went into a neighborhood and, he's, they're in his garage, and it was like, wow, like these little details are actually coming together. But what I was gonna say
It's
was
been out for what, about like 6 weeks now, about 6 or 7 weeks
something like
now?
that. Something like that.
I'll probably catch the box set.
Yeah, but in the Jake Robles incident, they actually showed, you know, him getting killed, and then you know Suge being there, and I guess Puffy was there at the club also, and Suge started blaming Puffy for the shooting. Was Jake getting killed? Was that like the straw that broke the camel's back in a way with Suge and that?
Seemed to be. It seemed to be. You know, I wasn't familiar with the details, but the party that he attended, it was a lot of industry people there, and he was supposedly looking for Suge or waiting for Suge or something, and in the process, it was a flare-up between the two camps, and he wound up dead. So I don't know if it was the result of the flare-up or where it came from, but he wound up dead. And, you know, a lot of people took that hard because he was a pretty good dude.
Right, because before then, that was the whole Source Awards. You know, they come to death row. Right, which at that point was just posturing and trash talking, but then when someone ended up dead,
Yeah.
that's when
switch gears.
switch gears.
Yeah.
Yep.